The red lights are blazing. It's an emergency podcast. There are so many emergencies in our wonderful automotive landscape at the moment. It's just, manna from heaven. We're filling our boots and every other cliche imaginable. But would you believe it? Gerry McGovern has left the building. Now, before we say anything, nothing against the man personally, don't know him. However, I've heard lots of not very good stories and also didn't like the direction Jaguar was going in or some of the statements and defences of what now we have to accept, surely, was a ludicrous Jaguar strategy a year ago. So I'm going to pass straight over to Chris Cooper, who is dutifully standing outside a Jaguar dealership in southern England to demonstrate the fact that he always goes to the location of the problem. And therefore, I'm going to him first because he deserves to talk first because he's been standing in front of what looks like a rather sad F-Pace or something that's been abandoned, probably not working outside the dealership. Off you go.
No, it's I've already been chucked out, actually. We were standing just over there 5 minutes ago, and then there's a booming voice from the mast above me told me that we're being recorded for security purposes and we should leave the premises straight away. I think this is the biggest emergency subject we've had. I mean, it's bigger than big. It's large, isn't it? Spartacus Mills, where are you now? I think there are two scenarios. The new Jaguar Land Rover CEO took over last week, taking over from Adrian Mardell, who's retiring. Scenario one is that it's simply a clash of personalities, wanting to go a different way with the team of people, and somehow they didn't get on. And that's scenario one. Scenario two is the bigger implication, which is that the new CEO has looked at the strategy or some aspects of its execution or both and has said, nah, we're not going. At the moment, it's not obvious, but it's one of those two scenarios, or as Cameron and I were saying on the way here, in his view, a combination of the two. Either way, it's a massive step. And I can imagine that, I mean, I talked to some of the cars in here slightly earlier on. They were all grey, literally, because that's the only bloody colour you can get on a fucking Jaguar Land Rover colour chart these days. And they had happy faces on that maybe the strategy might change. So from the scene here on the ground, I think there's a cautious optimism that maybe it's the strategy that could change, or at least positive. I mean, goodness me, they showed that bloody car today, didn't they? I mean, maybe the new Tata CEO saw the pink thing in Mount Street in London, thinking, no, that's it, I've seen enough, he's off.
So here's a response to that. Balaji actually said in August, before he took up the role, he defended the strategy. He said, we've put our plans together, the cars are being revealed, they're getting exciting response from the customers on the ground. Therefore, that's what the strategy is. So
okay,
it does point more to a personality clash, doesn't it? If he's supporting
it does in that case.
No.
Public.
Neil Clifford sitting in what looks like the BA lounge in JFK. Am I right about that?
Yes, I've battled through the snow to get here.
Good
Well
lad.
done.
Well, I think he pulled him into his office and said, "Tata," are saying "Tata, Gerry." It looked to me actually that the Instagram has already changed. If you take a look at today's communication with the Jaguar on Instagram, they're now referring back to the first ever Jaguar, and the wording has changed around their marketing. So I think they'd already made a decision, and clearly he had no choice but defend it when wasn't he the CFO?
He was, yeah.
He was the CFO, so he had no choice because Gerry probably thought he was significantly a higher level than the CFO. So when I think they had to, I'm sure they'd made a decision that strategy of Jaguar was wrong. And clearly we all knew it was wrong, didn't we? And we don't want to, anyone losing their job, because I'm sure it will happen to me one day. And your only strategy in our position is to sort of go out like Alex Ferguson and not go out like Margaret Thatcher. And unfortunately, he's gone out like Margaret Thatcher, isn't he? And I think it's a very tricky situation personally for any human being, including Gerry. But the only thing I hope is this means there'll be a new strategy for Jaguar And maybe there will be some cars that we want to buy in the future, because that's all we frankly care about is Jaguar and the survival of that beautiful brand.
I mean, we feel that it's a big gamble, though, given that, crikey, they were actually showing the car in public, sort of moving for the
Today,
first
yeah.
time ever
Yesterday,
today,
yeah.
and that's either an extraordinarily unhappy coincidence, but to say we're changing that, I mean, it's more years of delay. I mean, maybe it's the right. I mean, if you asked us, we'd say we don't know people are going to buy that car they talked about, but yeah, big.
Before I move to Manish, can I just read something out? This is from someone who works at Jaguar. I've had a lot of comments from people that work at Jaguar. To be balanced, there's only one individual that half defends Gerry. Everyone else goes in pretty hard, actually, I have to say. In my opinion, Gerry survived as long as he has been allowed to foster, as he's been allowed to foster the image as being the guardian of all things that make particularly Range Rovers so valuable. That's the cash cow, obviously. He can and should take some of the credit, but there's much more to it than that. The cadence of outgoing and incoming CEOs has probably helped him stay on longer. Thierry certainly thought he needed Gerry. As I'm sure you're aware, in a large corporate hierarchical environment, people have a tendency to follow the leader. Because of his own personal insecurities and need to control it, has led to a department with more than its fair share of sycophants and a fear culture in which people can't say their true opinion. Instead, always looking to apply an interpretation of what Gerry would say, or simply hide behind something that he has said before, whether the context is appropriate or not. He has ruled the roost and has dispatched all challenges from Ian Callum, Julian Thompson, and more recently Massimo, who's now at Audi. L663 new Defender design chief Tancredi was sacked a year or so ago too. So he's basically cleared everyone out.
Christ.
Gerry was involved in a big piece of work around 3 years ago trying to change the company culture. Part of it, as I understand it, was that he'd had such bad feedback from his department that he'd been told at board level to up his game. This resulted in what's called the Creators Code, which tries to define what modern luxury is all about. Most of it is sensible and open to interpretation. Crucially, though, it states that we're all proud creators, i.e. every employee. However, it led to Gerry renaming his department from design to creative, i.e. we're all proud creators, but some of them are more especially creative than others. A huge amount of progress has been made in the engineering teams to break down barriers and encourage collaborative working. Design or creative have been held back by Gerry in their ivory tower, and regime change will hopefully allow for a much better working culture to follow. It's pretty damning, and I like to say that's just the opinion of one individual. So I'm not saying that we state that, but that's a real message I've received from someone that works at JLR. Manish, what do you think?
Well, the acronym for Chief Creative Officer is CCO. So I thought about this in terms of 3-letter acronyms. I thought Gerry McGovern, CCO, JLR, OBE, RIP. There it is.
He vanished.
He vanished. Well, the Telegraph was, doing its usual A plus B equals 3 million wrong. And so it was gloating about the fact that apparently he was escorted out and directly linking that to the Jaguar concept car. I mean, it was broadly man who creates woke Jaguar concept car escorted out of JLR just a year later. It was a bit gloaty, but actually I think there's
Don't like that.
No, the man has created some. He had an extraordinary training, including the Royal College of Art. I was reading about him today. Stints at Chrysler, Lincoln Mercury in the United States. He did hire Marek Reichman, whose Astons we do love, right? There's no doubt about that. And he's been in this job. I mean, he's been at Jaguar Land Rover since April 2004, 21 years. That's a hell of a stint. So to be a little bit of credit. I mean, the final, somebody wrote, I thought rather pithily in the FT, it was a comment today. Self-appointed apex predator preyed upon by commercial reality might have been an appropriate job title. His linked out profile has a lovely font. And I thought that was just genius. That was really genius. I mean, it does feel as if everything that everyone thought just over a year ago about everything going electric and Porsche actually being the bellwether there. I mean, if they can't make this strategy work with what they know and what they have, it's very hard to see how Jaguar. Sorry, Mr. Cooper?
No, sorry, you finish Manish first.
Yeah, no. All I was saying was, I think this is a challenging time. We say it every single week on the pod. It is hard to adapt when you've got government pulling in one direction, the customers pulling in another direction, government trying to say to customers, stop buying ICEs, but not in any way, shape, or form either compensating them or contributing massively to the kind of infrastructure you'd need. And I think Jaguar have fallen victim to this without any of the reserves or the ability to press the reverse button that Porsche have. So I do wonder whether that's exactly why he's been fired, because at the end of the day, they're going to reverse their strategy. They're going to have to.
Well, I mean, we don't know that for certain, but I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say, listening to Chris, the note that you'd had, and I know you've had a number today, and we obviously can't say, but we're satisfied, and you know, Chris, that the people from whom you've received those notes are authentic, and they're credible people of substance and stature and decency who have been communicating actually for some time. When I listened to that description you gave just now, when I put my boring corporate life hat on in large, complex organizations which find themselves in this predicament in whichever industry they're in from time to time, that description has a total reek and whiff of authenticity. And it feels like it doesn't necessarily say everyone's decided everyone had dropped down tools because the strategy is wrong, but it does say we've dragged the anchor. We've dragged the anchor on what we think we're trying to do, how we think we're trying to do it, and the type of culture and organization within which we're going to operate to do that. And it just has an awful reek of sort of authoritarianism and the dominance of a talismanic character and culture. And Gerry will want his response to that. I'm sure he will at some point, but it does feel like the new CEO has decided in some way enough is enough, whether it's to change the person, to change the culture, drag the anchor back somewhere closer to what Jaguar should be, or maybe going as far as actually the strategy itself, the fundamental shift to a very small number of very expensive electric cars that look like that. They're no link to the Jaguar strategy. Maybe that's in play now as well. And if it is, I really do hope we don't hear ever again that phrase, the Jaguar brand has no equity left in it, because none of us believe that.
Yeah, that was the worst thing. I mean, I think they'll sell it to bloody JCB, sell it to someone that cares about the brand, and give it to someone that's gonna bring back what I know it's difficult. I know it's
too
hard.
far down the line, but they've got a pretty much finished car. So whether they like it or not, they're gonna have to come to market with it. They can't just they don't have enough money.
Yeah.
Do you think the Chinese would buy a brand like Jaguar, just leave it on the ship just in case they can turn one of their whatevers into a Jaguar? They need to.
I think as someone who comments on the industry and has done, sort of before this podcast, in different forms, he's probably one of the most interesting mercurial characters that I've ever really sort of reported on. I don't write specifically about design because I'm not an aesthete, but there were some things that really marked him out. First of all, profoundly successful. I mean, let's face it. He exported to the world the most successful British automotive designs of the last 30 years, without a doubt. The Range Rover is the most successful British automotive product by a mile, and he did it. So you've got to absolutely salute what he did. But
100%.
there seems to be a point in these people's careers that when they reach a point of success where they become unchallengeable within an organisation, which is sort of as described in that message there. It's curiously thin-skinned about his products as well. Like when the Discovery 5 came out, and everyone went, "Well, this is a bit ropey." He really didn't. I mean, really didn't like that, and responded quite robustly. And then, of course, I think the icing on the cake was the response to the Jaguar, which I found mirrored a lot of current opinions. I won't use the W word that Trump used. I'm not sure it's really appropriate, but I think what they were trying to do was buy into this rather reactionary cultural shift where not only they weren't saying we're going out on our own doing something brave. We're saying if you don't agree with us, you're the enemy. Basically, if you don't agree with us, then we've got a problem here. And I just think that was really sad.
Yeah, it was tricky. That was tricky. Yeah.
Jaguar didn't need to do that. And so what they did is they painted all of us as bacon or Karens or whatever they call us, but we're not. I'm inclusive. I love everyone, but I didn't really see the point in traducing a tradition and make. Why do you have to forget your past? You didn't need to do that. You could have launched that pink thing and said, "We're doing this. We're giving it a punt because we can't carry on doing what we did before. We've got to give it a
They
punt."
had they had
All
to
of
change. They had to change something. Agree with that.
but they also the messaging around it was, "We don't care about you. You're all dinosaurs." I
Yeah,
don't think they needed to do that really, and
that was unnecessary.
they really upset the Jaguar community actually. When you go to a Jaguar event, Jaguar Drivers Club, or a bloody owners club meeting or a track day, they're a wonderful bunch. And good God, are they strong brand advocates? They really want the brand to succeed, and they felt like they just had a massive kick in the goolies. I suppose the other thing I have to say, if I look at the messages I receive, quite often from people that work in car companies, I've never had many messages saying that they weren't very fond of working alongside or underneath someone. It was quite a lot, actually, quite sort of breathtaking. So,
But if you check the Instagram, they're now comparing that car, the electric car, with the model, I think SS, and they're saying Jaguar legacy holds. That's a very, very big change from where we were. That they've
yeah,
got the same, they've got the SS and the red car or pink car or blue car, whatever it
The
is,
zero
in the
zero, yeah.
same photograph. So it's already changed. They've already realised.
Well, they've used the L word, Neil. They've just in
Yeah.
using the L word, it's
Yeah, yeah.
changed
There,
everything.
there was no equity 6 months ago, and now
Exactly,
there's
and now it's
legacy.
back.
So it's changed already.
like I tell you what, Neil, you've sowed a little seed for me. Just imagine if Mr. Bamford, Lord
I
Bamford,
think that's the. He's wanted to buy it before,
is he Lord
Has
or
he?
Sir? Is he Lord or Sir?
Lord
Lord,
Lord.
now.
So imagine Lord
and
Bamford
he's
is
got the
the man
wedge,
who wrote
and
that back,
he's been turned down before.
has he?
Yeah,
Cool,
he'd be
bloody hell.
brilliant. He's got
Yeah.
the capital. He understands how to build stuff at scale. He loves the brand. Owns some amazing Jaguars himself.
It does.
Oh, I tell you what, I'd love to see that.
I'd like to see a really, really enthusiastic, passionate fight over this between Banford and, say, a BMW, who've done such good work with the Rolls and Mini brands. And if the good Lord um, was to be able, if he had the capital, and clearly it's a different business to building the wonderful diggers that he builds and stuff. But yeah, it's an exciting. The conversation itself is exciting. I totally agree, Neil.
He could do it. Yeah.
I think we all join together in saying that we hope this is the end of the turbulent period. People that work there must have been a pretty tough several months. So the hacking and all the other stuff and all the suppliers. I mean, you know, I'm incredibly proud of Jaguar now in a way that makes me feel ashamed not to have owned any before. I've got my Ropey XJS, which is coming along, update soon, and I got my Daimler Super V8, which the Daimler Super V8 is the epitome of Jaguar for me. It does things that German saloon cars can't, and maybe that's, I don't know. No one would never let me anywhere near a car company, but I'd love to define it
Well,
as
it's beautiful.
Jaguars doing well do things that the Germans can't do. They make you feel a way that the Germans can't make you feel.
Well, I'm going to bring my Mark 7 back out.
Yes.
Grace, pace, space. It's got
Space.
all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
I think there's anything more to add, Chris Cooper. Anything more to add?
No.
What's the feeling like at ground zero?
The feeling is quite cold and slightly damp, and late in the evening here. I know it's not as late in the evening as you in Kenya, or as early in the afternoon nearly as for you in NYC. Um, I could see if I can turn this
Are you on the
and see if you.
A41?
No, I'm in Hatfield.
Right.
So over
Yeah.
there is the big sort of banner thing, and it's got the leaper on it, and that was sort of going to disappear, really, wasn't it? And I think to see the leaper there, and the rather otherwise empty side of the Jaguar showroom, which has been the case recently, I'm really glad I came because I feel positive about it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I think we now
Fingers
know
crossed.
also that with the new logo that oh, sorry, Manish, off you go.
No. I was just keeping my fingers crossed. He just said,
Okay.
let's wish it luck.
I think I hope can we just clarify this? We're not. This is not a gloat. It's just
No,
because
100% not.
frankly, it's interesting news, and we leap on it, and we're fascinated by it. We want the conversation to continue. There's no doubt that Gerry McGovern achieved remarkable things, but much like so many characters in this wonderful industry, once they get a bit high on their own supply, they sometimes go a bit tonto, don't they? And I think we can name several of those as well. But maybe the real talents, clearly with the extraordinary talents, if left unchecked, that's inevitably what happens. They do an Icarus and they fly a bit too close to the sun. But I will say this: it does look like the revised logo. Remember that pink background with the capital G? We were all led to believe that the G was for someone, maybe someone's Christian name. But it sounds like, if one assumes my best Richie Benno voice, it was for Gone.
That's dreadful.
So no, it was. Look, I hope he'll go and do amazing things. I'm sure, and I no doubt about that. But I hope Jaguar. This is the end of the turmoil, and from now on, it's just build. And if you own a Jaguar and you've got one in the shed, get it out,
drive it. Yes, exactly.
Get out there, beat your horn. Solidarity.
Yeah.
Right, here endeth the emergency podcast. Red lights and all. Chris, who is somewhere in Hatfield outside a Jaguar dealership. Neil, who's in the BA Lounge at JFK. Manish, who's somewhere in North London, and me, somewhere looking over the Indian Ocean in Kenya. Thank you very much for joining us. And the real pod, the full pod, as recorded earlier today, will be live on Friday morning. Bye-bye.